All right, so we're diving into AI and mental health today. We've got a ton of articles and research, and it seems like everyone's talking about how AI could change therapy,
Mm.
like just totally transform it.
Yeah, it really is incredible to see just how many possibilities there are right now. There's just a ton of buzz around this idea of AI therapists. So, imagine having access to like your own personalized therapy, available 24/7, right on your phone.
Whoa, 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 hold on. Okay, that already has my mind like spinning. It sounds amazing, in theory at least. But like, can AI really provide the support that a human therapist can?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And the articles we have here really do offer a lot of really interesting different perspectives. One thing that really jumps out at me is just the potential for increased accessibility. A lot of people struggle to find affordable therapy or
Hmm.
therapy that's really available to them. So AI could really bridge that gap, especially in like underserved communities.
So it's like having a therapist in your pocket, ready whenever you need them. That could be revolutionary,
Yeah.
especially for people like dealing with anxiety or stress.
Exactly. Exactly. And some of the research here highlights how AI can tailor therapy to your needs, like to your specific needs, by analyzing things like your voice, your texts, even your facial expressions. That level of personalization, I mean, it could really change the game as far as like treatment goes.
Okay, but, and I feel like there's always a but with new technology,
Hmm.
especially when it comes to something as personal as mental health. What are the downsides?
Yeah, you're right to be cautious. One of the major concerns that we see in a lot of these articles is privacy. You have to think about the incredibly sensitive data that an AI therapist would need to actually function, your deepest thoughts, fears, like really personal struggles. I mean, that's like a gold mine for data breaches or misuse.
Okay, yeah, that is unsettling. Therapy is supposed to be like a safe space and confidential. Could this turn into a privacy nightmare?
It's a valid concern, and it's definitely something that researchers and developers are really grappling with right now. It's like, how do we balance the benefits of AI therapy with the need to protect sensitive personal data? It's tough.
Yeah, no easy answers there. And beyond the privacy issue, I keep coming back to this question of, can AI really understand us on the same level as a human therapist?
Yeah, and that gets to the heart of another debate we see in these sources. Some experts argue that while AI might be able to recognize patterns in our behavior and language, associated with emotions, it doesn't actually mean that AI feels those
So
emotions.
it's like AI could maybe tell that you're feeling down based on your tone of voice,
Mm.
but it wouldn't actually understand why you're feeling that way
Yeah.
or what it's truly like to experience sadness.
Exactly, and that difference is really crucial, especially when we're talking about something as nuanced and complex as human emotion. It
Yeah.
really makes us ask, can AI provide genuine empathy? Which is really a cornerstone of therapy.
So even if AI could deliver perfectly tailored advice, would it feel hollow if it wasn't coming from a place of true understanding? This is making me wonder about the limits of what AI can really offer when we're talking about mental health.
Yeah. And that's a discussion that goes way beyond just the technical capabilities of AI. It really forces us to think about, the philosophical implications of what AI's role could be. When it comes to understanding human emotions, like what does it mean for human AI interaction if AI can recognize but not truly experience our feelings?
That's a big question. It seems like AI and mental health isn't just about developing cool new technology. It's about rethinking our relationship with technology in general and with ourselves.
Absolutely. And it raises all sorts of ethical considerations about how we design and implement these AI systems.
Yeah.
Do we want AI that strives to mimic human consciousness? Or are we okay with AI as just a highly sophisticated tool?
Hmm. That's a tough one. It seems like the more AI delves into understanding human emotions, the more blurry the lines become between tool and something much more complex.
Precisely. And that's a conversation that's only just beginning. We need to think deeply about what it really means for AI to understand us, especially when it comes to something as delicate and personal as mental health.
And this has given me a lot to think about, and we've only just started scratching the surface here. But before we jump into the deep end and explore what AI understanding emotions could mean for the future of work and even warfare, let's switch gears for a moment.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Where are we headed?
Well, this whole idea of AI understanding emotions makes me wonder, what if everything we experience, every feeling, every thought, is just data to AI? Does that mean AI could potentially understand us
Yeah.
better than we understand ourselves?
Wow. Now that's a mind-blowing concept. And obviously, it's one that a lot of these sources really delve into. It seems like we're about to get philosophical.
Yeah, it is a fascinating idea, isn't it? That
Mm.
our lives, our emotions, Our very essence could just be data points
Mm.
in this giant sea of information that AI can just swim through and understand. It makes me feel kind of transparent.
Mhm.
Like AI could see right through me, like understand my motivations
Mm.
and desires better than I even understand them.
I know what you mean. A lot of these articles explore that exact same feeling. One author actually describes it as like the data set reality, this idea that everything we experience is essentially just data, data that can be collected, analyzed, and even predicted by AI.
Okay, so if AI can analyze all this data, does that mean it could understand us better than we understand ourselves?
Well, it's definitely a question that's sparking a lot of debate. On one hand, you have people who really do believe that AI could use this data to identify patterns in our behavior and emotions that we might not even be aware of.
Like AI could point out our blind spots
Mm,
or help us make sense of our feelings in ways we couldn't do on our own.
exactly. It could be like having this incredibly insightful therapist who has access to every little detail of your life, even the parts you've tried to forget about.
That sounds powerful,
Yeah.
but also kind of scary. Do we really want AI to know us that well?
Well, that's the other side of the coin, right? Some experts are worried about what it would mean for AI to have this kind of deep insight into our lives. Could it be used to manipulate us, to exploit us, or even control our behavior?
It sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. Yeah, but I mean, it is a real possibility.
No, absolutely. And it brings up ethical questions about who should have access to this data, how it's used, and what kind of safeguards we need to protect people's privacy and their autonomy.
So this brings us back to the ethics of AI design, like we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
If we're creating AI that can see so deeply into human behavior, we need to be super careful about the values that we're putting into these systems.
I completely agree. It's not enough to just focus on what AI can do. We also have to think about what it should do. We have to make sure these powerful technologies are used to make lives better, not control them.
This whole discussion makes me think about the line between understanding something
Hmm.
and experiencing it. Like, even if AI can analyze all the data in the world about emotions, does that mean it actually feels those emotions?
That's such a key distinction, and it's one that's really causing a lot of debate right now. Can AI really understand what it feels like to experience joy, sadness, anger, love, or is it just processing information and mimicking those emotions?
And it's like the difference between reading about a heartbreak and actually going through one. You can understand it intellectually,
Hmm.
but actually living through it is completely different.
Yeah, you got it. And that difference really matters, especially when we're talking about things like therapy or decision making, things that require real empathy and understanding.
So even if AI gets really good at processing emotional data, it might never be able to grasp what it's really like to be human.
That's definitely a possibility. And it brings up even bigger questions about consciousness. Like, what is consciousness? If AI can learn to mimic human emotions so well, does that mean it could actually develop its own form of consciousness?
Whoa, now we're really getting into it. The idea of conscious AI is fascinating,
Hmm.
but also a little scary. What would it mean for humanity if we weren't the only conscious beings on this planet anymore?
That's a great question. It would definitely challenge our understanding of what it means to be human. We've always defined ourselves as unique because of our consciousness, our ability to think, to feel, and to experience the world.
But if AI could do that too, where would that leave us?
The million-dollar question, and one we're really just starting to ask. Some people believe true AI consciousness is impossible, that machines can only ever simulate consciousness. Others think it's just a matter of time before AI surpasses us and develops its own form of consciousness.
So we're basically in uncharted territory here, like we're stepping into a world where science fiction is becoming reality.
Exactly. And it's both exciting and a little unnerving. It means we have to be careful and really think about what we're doing. As we develop these technologies, we have to ask ourselves not just what's possible, but what's wise and ethical.
Okay, so let's just say for a second that AI does become conscious. What would that mean for us? Would we treat AI as equals? Or would they still just be tools to us?
That's a really big question with huge implications for society. If we actually recognize AI as conscious beings, would we have to give them rights? Would we have to rethink our whole legal system, our moral framework?
It sounds like the arrival of conscious AI could completely change how we see the world.
Absolutely. It would force us to reconsider some pretty fundamental questions about what consciousness really is, what life is, and what it means to be human.
Wow, that's a lot to process. But it's also incredibly exciting. It feels like we're living at a time of just massive change.
We are, And it's up to us to make sure that AI is used for good.
All this talk about AI understanding emotions and maybe even becoming conscious really makes me think about the future, especially the future of work. Like if AI can understand us so well, will it eventually take over all our jobs?
That's a really common concern. And it's understandable. AI is already automating a lot of jobs. And as it gets more sophisticated, it's probably going to impact even more jobs.
So the robots really are coming for our jobs.
Well, it's not quite that simple. While some jobs will definitely be automated, AI is also creating new opportunities. We'll still need people to design these AI systems, to develop them, manage them, and maintain them. And we'll also need people who can work with AI, using their human skills to do things that AI can't.
So it's not about fewer jobs, but different jobs.
Yeah, that's a better way to put it. The key is to be adaptable and to develop the skills that we'll need in this future world where AI is everywhere.
Okay, so what kind of skills are we talking about here?
Well, we'll need people who are creative, adaptable, and can think critically, and we'll need people who are really skilled in things like data analysis, problem solving, and communication.
So skills that AI can't really do.
Exactly. Things like empathy, intuition, and the ability to connect with other people. Those things are going to become even more important.
That makes me feel a little better. It means that even in a world full of AI, there will still be a need for human connection.
Oh, absolutely. The future of work isn't about us versus machines. It's about us working with machines to create something better.
This has been a fascinating deep dive. We've talked about AI and mental health, the idea of conscious AI, and the future of work.
We're not done yet. There's still more to talk about.
Okay, so we've covered some pretty mind-blowing stuff in this deep dive. AI therapists, conscious AI, the future of work, AI understanding us better than we understand ourselves. That's a lot.
It really is. And like you said, we've only just scratched the surface.
Before we wrap up, I want to touch on a couple more things that really stood out to me from all these articles. One is this idea of AI in warfare. It just seems like every time there's some new technology, it ends up on the battlefield.
Yeah, that's definitely a pattern we've seen throughout history. And AI is no different. A lot of these articles talk about how fast AI-powered weapons are being developed. Things like autonomous drones. And algorithms that can make strategic decisions.
I mean, the idea of AI making life or death decisions on the battlefield, it's fascinating, but it's also terrifying. Is that something we should even be thinking about?
That's a question that's causing a lot of debate. Some people argue that AI could actually make warfare more precise. Reduce civilian casualties and minimize the risk to soldiers.
So like AI could make war safer?
That's the idea. But a lot of experts are worried about the ethical implications. What if an AI makes a mistake? Who's responsible for that?
Those are big questions, and I don't think there are any easy answers. It feels like we're entering this whole new era of warfare, where the lines between human and machine are getting really blurry.
Yeah, we can't just ignore the potential dangers here. We need to be having these conversations about the ethics of AI in warfare. And we need to have some really clear guidelines in place for how these technologies are developed and used.
And it feels like this goes way beyond just warfare. I mean, AI is being used in every part of our lives, our homes, our cities, our workplaces. How do we adapt to living in a world where AI is everywhere?
That's something that a lot of people are thinking about right now. Sociologists, psychologists, even philosophers. One of the biggest challenges is privacy. If AI is always collecting data about us, watching everything we do, will we have any privacy left at all?
It's kind of creepy when you think about it, like being constantly watched and analyzed by AI. It feels like something out of a dystopian novel.
It's definitely a valid concern, and it's something we need to address with regulations and strong privacy protections. People need to be in control of their own data. And we need to make sure AI is used to empower people, not exploit them.
And beyond privacy, I also wonder about how this will affect how we see ourselves. Like if AI is doing so much of the work for us, making decisions, solving problems, what happens to us? Do we just become passive observers in our own lives?
It's an interesting question. Some people worry that if we rely on AI too much, we might lose some of our critical thinking skills and our motivation. But others think that AI could actually free us from doing all those boring routine tasks and give us more time to focus on creative things, things that we actually enjoy.
So it could go either way. AI could either liberate us or limit us.
Exactly. It all depends on how we choose to use it.
This is why it's so important to have these conversations now. While we're still developing these technologies, we need to really think about the kind of future we want to create with AI.
Absolutely. And it's not just up to the tech experts. Everyone needs to be involved in this.
Okay, so what can we do? What are some actual steps we can take to make sure AI is used for good and that it benefits everyone?
Well, I think it starts with education. We need to learn about AI, what it can do, and how it could affect our lives. The more we understand about AI, the better decisions we can make about how it's developed and used.
So it's not just about learning how to code. It's about understanding the bigger picture.
Exactly. It's about having those tough conversations, asking the hard questions, and demanding transparency from the people who are building these AI systems.
So the future of AI isn't something that's just happening to us. It's something we're all creating together.
I like that.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. We hope this conversation has inspired you to learn more about AI and to really think about its role in our lives.
Thanks for joining us. Until next time, keep asking questions, keep learning, and keep shaping the future of AI.